My check, my check. Perfect. All right, let me send the link out. It's going. Also, shout out to Laughing Dog for the Cash App donation. Thank you very much, sir. Arigatou gozaimasu. What's up, Black Curls? Good to see you, sir. Getting Atomic Habits. Hey, let me know how that is and all. And, shoot me a message and everything. I'll definitely check out that book too. Okay, let's see. Let me go ahead and get the invite link going. Alrighty. Okay, so the StreamYard link has been sent out to the gents. And so whenever they are free, they can hop on in and we can continue the discussion. Alrighty. Guess while we wait for them, let's see. I know this past weekend was the first weekend of NFL. My Steelers won. Very, very close game, but hey, a win is a win. And then let me turn the volume down a little bit. There we go. But yeah, a win is a win, and you know what? Let me do this. All right. Okay. So, yep, pretty interesting. Interesting weekend as far as football. So definitely going to be keeping eyes on that. Alrighty. You know what? Let me look for something else real quick. Different type of music. Hold that thought. Let's try this. Here we go. Try this for a bit. All right. You know what? While we wait for the Jits to come on through so we can talk more about the book, guess I could talk a little bit about the post that I did earlier today about Japan no longer requiring a travel agency or visa. So this is from Time Out magazine. So here's what they wrote up on yesterday. It says Japan is still playing catch up with the rest of the world in terms of reopening for tourism. As reported by the Japan Times, the government is looking to further ease its strict border restrictions in the near future. Japan plans to remove the daily entry limit and at the same time remove the visa and package tour requirements for tourists. Restrictions have continued to ease over the last few weeks as the entry cap was recently raised from 20,000 to 50,000. Let me reduce this music a bit. There we go. Um, yeah, restrictions have continued to ease over the last few weeks as the entry cap was recently raised from 20,000 to 50,000 people per day. And cool. One of my homies is up here, Mr. JJ Wilson. How's it going, sir?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Oh yeah, you coming in loud and clear.
Okay, I had to switch to my phone since the laptop mic is still messing with me. So
Hmm.
yeah, I missed a tidbit of that last part of the stream. I know you were reviewing the book and everything, so you were talking about what the guy had to do it with his ex-wife, and last time I checked, you guys were talking about the child support or the lack thereof in Japan. Like, wow, That's for both genders, male and female.
Right. Hmm.
Oh wow. So regardless whether or not you initiate the divorce or the Japanese initiates the divorce, like the kids are pretty much theirs. Like there's no if, ands, buts about it.
Right. The way the Japanese court system is set up, if there was ever a dispute over the rearing of the children, they usually give the custody over to the woman to rear the children and everything. However, that rule only applies when the people are both native Japanese people. If it's a case where you have a foreigner involved, they usually give the kids over to the Japanese parent that wants custody.
Ah, I see. Wow. Mm. And that guy, the author of that book, he has yet to go back to Japan since what was it, 2013?
Yeah, yeah. Far as my understanding, because I think he has like an um, Instagram page and all. My understanding, he has not been to Japan since.
Oh wow. That has to be devastating too, because you go there to that country, you pretty much transform yourself from what you were back home, and you kind of become larger than life in said country, only to kind of squander it because you can't let go of your old vices that you had in your homeland. That's kind of what I got out of the book review. Like this guy had, or maybe I don't think he was necessarily hiding it, but it just proved to be too much to handle at one time. It's kind of like he was living a double life. It sounded like.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that definitely is what he portrayed. Um, you know, publicly, he was this celebrity with wife and kids and all, but unless you were somebody who was involved in the nightlife, you didn't know that that was his calling. That's what he did throughout, the nights and everything. And so when it caught up to him and everybody found out.
Oh no, dang. Mm. Well, since this book came out 4 years ago, I'm sure that's definitely helping him with his financial situations here now, especially with the way this economy's going. I mean, it's kind of picking back up some, but still kind of hard to make ends meet for a lot of people out here. So, yeah, hopefully everything works out on his end.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I hope, when he came back to America, that, he went and got help and, kind of worked on his demons or fixed his demons. And, now that he's married again to another Japanese woman, I'm hoping, they living out their best life.
oh, he got married again?
Oh yeah, before he left Japan, he married Miss H. She was the one that knew about all of his sexual escapades, his addiction, divorce he went through and all, and she still stuck by him.
Wow, that's incredible. Because I'm not even sure. Because see, here in America, even if you had like somebody that was kind of there for you, I don't know if they would go out of the way to just like really marry you like that, unless she could kind of control you somehow in some negative, domineering way. But this girl was just ultimately supportive every step of the way. So that's big. He's fortunate to have a friend like that. Really,
Oh yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. I humbly agree because I mean the things that he went through and kind of put her through and all, and to still be by his side when he's at his worst and decide to leave. It's like, yeah, you definitely have that loyal Japanese spirit.
Like if he didn't meet A, I think H was probably a better compatible match for him, from what it sounds like.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I still believe that before he even thinks of marriage, he still needs to fix himself. But yeah, if
Uh-huh.
he would have met Miss H before he met Miss A, he probably would not have went through half the stuff that he went through in the book.
Yeah, I could concur. Especially that she doesn't have like the super traditional parents from what Miss A had, right? So they weren't so like into her life and every decision. because you do have parents like that. They got to be very protective, and they want to make sure you're not falling astray and everything. So it's pros and cons to that. Trust me. But yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
to have Miss H there, like through thick and thin, even in the darkest times, is just incredible to know. Wow.
yeah. I think another thing that kind of probably did not work in his favor. So Miss A was indeed the only child of her parents, and so in
Hmm.
Japanese culture, when you're an only child, they're very protective of their children. They're not as freely of who they date or who they acquaint themselves with versus Japanese parents where there's at least two kids or three kids in the house.
Yep, they definitely had to make sure their legacy wasn't tainted or broken in any kind of way. So I can totally see that.
Yeah, yeah. It like I said, it was a very, very interesting read, very detailed and all. And again, to me, I think it's just a clear warning of what not to do as a black man going to Japan.
Or any other country for that matter. I know I'd rather not talk about the whole Mansford stuff, but like I know the whole passport talk is getting such a big rise over the course of the months, and guys going to certain places, especially Latin America, and that's just due to proximity. But they too have to tread carefully because have been cases like we heard last year with the one guy that tried to do his business in Colombia, but he did it in the wrong side of town, only to get got
Hmm.
there. So yeah, stories like those, they're definitely wake up calls and heads up for anybody traveling, regardless if you're a man of color or any other ethnicity in this country. Like you definitely got to do your research. You definitely need to make sure, even when you go there, have a solid network. Have like maybe one or two people already there, whether they're locals or foreigners that kind of know the lay of the land. That way, you won't get caught slipping.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. I mean, you heard us preach it all the time. And another
Yeah.
thing too that highlights from the story, he didn't went out of his way to become friends with the local Japanese men who
Mm.
maybe would have helped him avoid a lot of the situations that he went through, which, that's what we preach here. It's like, if you're going to go to any country, get acquainted with the men there. The men are the gatekeepers of those cultures.
Yeah, and the stuff that they go through, they go through similar things that American guys go through too, if you're talking about relationships. Now, as far as the social climate and the government policies, yeah, that varies different. We just heard tonight with the way child support is executed. But overall, like they can tell you, like, oh, so and so girl, don't mess with that. Oh, so and so girl out there, yeah, I know her family. She's a keeper. Yeah, she does everything the family tells her. Right? So you got all these factors to play. You just have to play your cards accordingly when you travel.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Prime VA 757, he said, I'm learning Japanese. My girl's trying to teach me. I only know a little bit from watching anime from years. She is from Kumakata. Hey, man, if she's one where she's willing to help you out and everything and she is loyal to you, please don't mess it up. Don't do what Mr. Huchin did in the book. There's a reason why we say a scorned Japanese woman is not something to play around with.
Mm. Wow, that's wild. But yeah, I read in your community post today that Japan is fully open, like it is ready to rock.
Yeah, well, it's not fully open just yet, but
Uh,
they are looking at getting rid of the visa requirement and the um the package tour. So they're thinking most are projected probably by the end of this month. Japan is going to be fully open.
all by the end of the month. Okay, yeah, that's
Hmm.
sooner than I thought. Not like going into 2023. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, which is great for me because that means when I travel to Japan later this fall, we already got the Airbnb booked. where we're going to stay and everything, Tokyo and Osaka. So it's just waiting it out for the visa requirements and all to be taken off, and then we're in the clear.
Oh, speaking of Airbnb, how are the Airbnbs in Japan, like compared to the United States?
So I've only been to one so far, but
Okay.
I will definitely say it depends on who you talk to. Some majority of people from what I read online and then from my own experience, Airbnb is great. The apartments they have there is like super clean. Um, you pretty much have access to where you need to go because there's train stations on almost every uh corner that you could think of. So it's very convenient, especially in cities like Tokyo. You really won't need to get a car because there's a train station that's only like 5 or 7 minutes walks away. So that's one benefit. But one thing I can say that, if you're somebody that's 6 foot or above, or even 5'11" or above, you might want to be careful with your head because, you know, the doors and the walkways are a little bit shorter. So yeah, you could get your head accidentally hit, because being a tall guy or a tall person. But to
That's gonna
me,
be me.
you so
That's
so
gonna
to
be me
me,
because
yeah.
wait, oh, okay. Yeah, that's gonna be me because I'm 6 feet tall. So I already know I'm probably gonna get my big head socked anytime I jump into one of these Airbnbs in Japan.
Right. So I mean, I haven't been to like the hotels, but I'm pretty sure the hotels are probably more accommodating to foreigners, tall foreigners and all. But I
Right.
mean, to me, the Airbnbs are not that bad.
Okay, yeah, because I did one here in the States. It was a little ways out from the resort, but like everything was quiet except for like the one night. And this was during the 4th of July too. Like this one family right by me had to pop fireworks and play Spanish music. Funny enough, like for 4th of July, I was like, oh, come on. I didn't even bring no fireworks, man. I could have went over there and caused a ruckus too if I wanted.
Yeah, man, that's
Ah,
crazy. What's up, Dwight Hayes? He said, "Long time no see. Has anyone seen or heard from Kitagakure Jones?"
oh, you
Dwight,
just
he, yeah, he's been here the whole time. Like he was in the chat when we did the book review.
mm-hmm.
And whenever we do the Black Ronins podcast, the man is right alongside with me. So he doesn't have
Yeah,
his channel anymore because he's focusing on his work and whatnot. But yeah, every chance he get when we do the podcast, he's up here.
oh yeah, he's doing awesome. Doing fantastic over there. Yeah, so that's good news about the Airbnb experience. So when you go there the first time, I'm pretty sure you're gonna go there and see some of your old friends there. So like going into next year, like how often are you gonna be back and forth from Japan to the States, do you think?
Honestly, that's a very good question, JJ.
Hmm.
My goal is hopefully to be going to Japan once every year, if not once every other year. Um, that's just one place I definitely, want to make it like a mainstay of being able to travel and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, there's some other countries I want to visit, so I got to take that into consideration. So, like,
Yeah.
if I decide, I'm gonna probably go visit um, United Kingdom sometime in the future. Most likely that year, I may not be able to make it to Japan, but the following year, still make a trip back over there.
So pretty much every other year.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, yeah, because like I guess depending on where you are in America, those flights to Japan is probably gonna be a guaranteed like 8+ hour flight.
Oh yeah. From LAX, because LA is more closer to me than any other airport. From LA
Mm,
to Tokyo, hands down, is at least a 9 hour flight.
9 hours, okay, yeah. And remember the clocks are forward the further east you go. So like, yeah, you're losing a day. I know you're gonna sleep over, but you're gonna lose a day. So jet lag is gonna feel very weird.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Um, you said other countries like so depending on what's going on in Europe,
Mm.
yeah, UK ought to be okay. Like the UK should be a pretty decent spot to go to. I know I've been hearing rumors about Russia trying to bomb London or something like that, but you know they're getting their butts handed to them by Ukraine right now. But any other
Yeah.
places in mind for
Oh yeah,
Europe?
there's other places in Europe I'd like to travel to. Like Dwight, he mentioned in the chat Germany. I definitely like to go to Germany, visit there for a bit. I also want to visit Portugal and Spain and France. Um, Also, for some reason, I want to go visit Norway, and the reason being is because supposedly Norway has its own version of the Loch Ness monster.
I thought he was gonna go there to learn Viking culture.
Well, I mean, from my last DNA test, I have a little bit of Norwegian blood in me, so I guess you could say I probably have a little bit of Viking blood.
Oh man, yeah, that would be pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna get my passport renewed next year for certain. Once I take care of my student debt and everything, that won't be long because I'm not trying to pay interest. So once I take care of that, then I can finally look at some places I would like to check out. So yeah, Asia for sure is probably gonna be on top of this because I've never been that part of the world before. I've only
Mm.
been to Latin America, and that was for martial art that I partook in over there down in Brazil. So that was like the only real time I did go overseas, and then I decided to go back to college and blow up money on loans.
Nah, I hear you on that. That's why. That's why, in my case, I actually work for a university. So I was like, you know what? Before I ever think about going to grad school, I'm either going to wait until I build up enough wealth to, take on grad school on my own, or I go work for a university. So in my case, the latter part happens. So I can pretty much do grad school free of charge.
Oh, that was smart. I took on a whole new degree in a different field, and they didn't give me that offer. I couldn't just work at the university. And what's funny is, by the time I got in university, I worked a city job at the same time. And I always thought to myself, if I got that city job 5 or 6 months before I jumped into school, I would never have took out loans. The time was just bad. The time was just crap. Ah, man,
Nah,
I
I
kick
hear you
myself
on
all the
that.
time for that. Dog. um, Oh, I did sub to that sumo guy because I was kind of late on that Black Ronin podcast. So yeah, I was checking
Hmm.
out some of the sumo matches. Yeah, like I forgot how intense those matches can be at times, man. Like those guys, they are on it, man. All the sumo wrestlers that train, it's something else. Man.
You know what? After talking with Jason and everything, I'm actually going to try to every now and then maybe pull up some clips here on YouTube and just kind of show like some matches that's going on. Because right now the September tournament just started. I think it was on Sunday. So uh, it, so far, I think it is pretty interesting. Some of the matchups.
It would be better if you could try to catch a sumo match,
Oh
if
well,
possible.
well, Well, you're in luck because I'm gonna be going in November, and the next Grand Sumo tournament is in November in Tokyo.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. You're gonna have some nice footage of that. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely the plan to try to catch Grand Sumo and some other major events that goes on between Osaka and Tokyo. So yeah, I definitely want to be on location so you guys could get a few images and clips there.
Yeah, definitely do that. This is Sigma Jones walking in such and such town in the dark. Yeah, you are one with the darkness. Shinobi mode. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah. Eventually though, I want to do a trip with Shinobi Bro so he can kind of show. some places he'd been to and other places I've never been to and all. So kind of have that 1-2 punch.
Right, right. Uh, what was I thinking about just now? There was a place. It's like a couple places in Japan that I've heard about. Like there's a hot spring in Kyushu. It's like a town that has a gang of hot springs. It's called
Hmm.
Beppu.
Babu.
You heard
Okay.
of it? Yeah,
This is
it's
my
like
first time.
it's like a smaller town, and it's not in Fukuoka. It's near another city. I think it's called Oita. And like up there, they have like a bunch of hot springs. I don't know
Hmm.
how I don't know if anybody else has been there or not, but I was like, dang, hot springs, that sounds real good right about now.
Yeah. Usually they're pretty popular during like the winter months and everything. So
Mm.
I'll be catching the tail end of fall, but still not winter yet. So I guess you could say there'll be a few people going to hot springs and all, but not on a regular basis during like the winter months.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like what is the ticket prices like going into Japan, like from Los Angeles or I don't live in California, so like I'm in the South, so I would have to probably either take Texas or Atlanta. So I'm sure that would be like more expensive for me. What would be like the usual prices to go there?
Well, it depends. And in fact, you just reminded me of something. Let me get this link to a site that I go to look for tickets.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, here we go. Now I'll post it in the chat. But there's a site called momundo.com. And it's a place where you can find cheap flights from pretty much anywhere in the world. And
Oh,
so
good.
I'm posted here in the chat, and then I'll also post in the back chat, so you can have it too, good sir. But usually that's where I go to look for tickets, and I usually find tickets on this site. If you actually catch it, like probably around like 2 months in advance and everything, sometimes 3 months, you can find a round trip from LAX to Tokyo for like $500.
What?
Yeah,
Man, that's a steal.
yeah,
Wow. Just 500. Man,
yeah.
okay.
That
Yeah,
that's
good,
what I
good, good.
use. Yeah, yeah, that's what I used on my last trip. And so, yeah, especially right now with Japan reopening, they're going to be giving a lot of discounts to travel to Japan. So use that site. You'll definitely will find some great deals.
See, there you go. A good token from the great old samurai son. Oh man. Oh, I know this might be off topic, but did you catch the state of play from Sony today?
No, no, what happened? While you're doing that, shout out to Ash the man. Good to see you, sir.
Oh, Ash, the other half of the old Eternal Ventures podcast. See, I'm up here chopping it up with Sigma. We're talking about
Mm.
traveling. Yep. But yeah, I went off topic, but now we're back to gaming a little bit. But I don't know if you're familiar with Team Ninja. They're a video game affiliate of Koei Tecmo. Team
Mm,
Ninja.
this is my first time hearing of it.
Yeah, they're like a studio. They're a game studio, but they have two games coming out next year. I just saw one of the trailers today, and it's based in Japan, and it's right after Commodore Perry visited the country to open up the trade there. And
Hmm.
I think it's set in 1863. So I know that's like at the beginning of the Boshin War, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, yeah, yeah. Is
Okay.
actually because I think Commodore Perry he landed in Tokyo Bay, yeah, right around 1863, 64. So yeah, that and the Boshin War did not start till like at least the 1880s or like the
Oh,
no no no
okay.
like the 1870s.
Okay. Yeah. It's somewhere around that time, and it's like it was cool, man. Like this samurai dude was like jumping on top of roofs, and he had some kind of yeah. There you go, Ash. It's the Rise of the Ronin. That's the title game. It got the trailer out today. It looked awesome.
Okay.
It was crazy. If you can, Ash, like you might have to put the link in the chats for him to see, because that. You gotta see that. Team Ninja does it again because they got another game coming out, and I don't know if you remember watching me on my channel playing Neo.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I
game,
remember. Hmm.
yeah. So that's the same company that made Neo, and they got another game coming out based on China, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, called Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and that game's supposed to come out next
Mm.
year. So that's their project first, and then this other project, Rise of the Ruin, is going to be out later, maybe later this year or 2024. So they got some killer games coming out right now. I was when I saw that, I was excited because it was like a blend between Japan and the Western technologies coming in. So I was like, wow, this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that is. And I know SKC, he's a fan of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Mm,
hey Ash, put that title there, Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Yeah, definitely check that out.
okay, yeah, let me go
Yeah,
ahead
that's
and.
the trailer right there.
Okay, let's see if I can
Yeah.
grab it to catch a glimpse of it.
Yeah, just looking at that is like, man, this is gonna be an underrated hit. No
Yeah,
question there.
I'm watching the review right now. Kind of has that Ghost of Tsushima feel.
Yeah, and even I was even thinking Assassin's Creed a little too
Yeah, yeah, I can
because
see that.
yeah, because it's so funny because Ubisoft was supposed to a long time ago. People wanted them to make a game based in Japan, but they never did it. And to this day, I cannot understand why. They just now made a mini game for Japan, but it's like I don't know if it's a mobile game or not, but it's like a smaller game, and it's like, yeah, that's nothing compared to Ghost of Tsushima and Neo. Not even close.
Yeah, yeah.
And but
But
then
no,
these games, oh, it's like, oh man, it's gonna be crazy.
the graphics on this is insane.
Yeah, no question, without a doubt.
Yeah, this, this definitely like I could see Neo, I could see Ghost of Tsushima. Like they pretty much tied it into this particular trailer or this video game. It is very nice. So I'm definitely gonna have to keep tabs to this Rise of the Ronin. And just the title, Rise of the Ronin. Okay, you already caught my interest.
Exactly. The Black Ronin podcast. Oh, this is brought to you by Rise of the Ronins. Experience the ways of the Wanderless Samurai.
Hey, by all means, if they are looking for advocates and all, feel free to look up our podcast. We'll be more than happy to shout out the video game.
Yes, indeed, man. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Japanese talk.
Oh no, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, okay. There's a link to that Wolong game too. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Ash. Yeah, that one's in China. Now that's Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So, whenever SKC Supreme King Kun, whenever he comes in, he can look up that title and check out the trailer. Yeah, Lu Bu is in it. I think Liu Bei and his gang is in it. Sao Sao, like, oh, it's going down. It's going down.
All right. Yep, I'm pulling up right now. And yeah, the graphics on this looks good too. See a robot bird.
Oh, for those that don't know, Team Ninja is the same company that helped with Ninja Gaiden.
Okay, all right, all right. Fighting a tiger. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, SKC. I think um, we definitely have to show him this because that's one of his favorite genres or stories, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So now it's like a video game that you could play in the storyline. Yeah, he'll It'll be
Yeah,
over.
that company they always made Romance of the Three Kingdom games because the other staple is Dynasty Warriors, and that's always been based on that story. And they kept making rendition after rendition after rendition. Like they got at least they have up to 9 titles, but it's got to be more games than that. It's insane what they've done.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know what, Ashton man? Oh, because you always welcome here on this channel. Man, if you got time, here is the link to the panel. Feel free to jump on. Because definitely like to hear your opinions and all. Especially, because you and Ashton Man, JJ, y'all had a great series going on, the Eternal Vintage. That's why I hope and pray you guys start that up again because I was always a fan of that series every Friday night.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that a lot, Sigma. The pandemic kind of changed some things up for both of us, so we kind of had to like get everything straightened out with our
Oh
lives and
yeah.
everything, get back,
Oh
get back in order and stuff like that. So now things have kind of quelled down some. Still got some kinks to work out on my side, but it's definitely core. It's going according to plan for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
man, absolutely. I definitely understand. I believe me, I am looking forward to the day when y'all start back up because I will be listening in every chance I get. Especially now that my Fridays are more free since I work during the day now and such. Yeah, I will be tuning in every chance I get.
and there you have it. Yep, we're gonna have to definitely pull some strings, because like there's certain segments if we bring it back, there's certain segments I like to keep and some we'll have to change up. And I'm not sure if
Hmm.
we'll do it like every week because we'll have to
Oh
come up
yeah.
with some really good topics. Yeah, and that
Oh
was
yeah.
pretty
That.
taxing too because we had to make graphics for our video, like the poster like we used to do, and I would do like these small trailers when we were really getting things popping. Like I used to make these little mini trailers and put all the topics that we were going to talk about, and that took quite a bit of time. I have to say it really did because we had to really think about what we wanted to talk about for the week and such.
Man,
So yeah, I'm
you
thinking more
guys.
like a huh.
I was gonna say you all let me know, like when you're gonna get ready to start building up everything. I can actually create for you all like a little mini intro, with you guys as like Ronin themes and all, and y'all can utilize that anytime or any chance you get.
Oh, sweet man, that would be much appreciated. Yeah, me and Ash are talking the back end soon enough. No worries there.
Mm.
Mm. Whenever he shows up in the chat, or not the chat, but
Oh
the
yeah, he's coming up. He said give him a moment. So
got it.
yeah, that's like I said. I always looking forward when y'all did y'all streams and everything because it was fun. It was definitely fun.
No doubt.
Man. So far, because you're one of the main supporters of the Black Ronins podcast, so I definitely have to ask, at this moment, what has been one of your favorite interviews that we have done?
That's a good question. The one that definitely sticks out to my mind was Sensei Takai for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
When you guys interviewed him, he like his messages were so deep, like and how you explain, the life of Bushido is basically like a code of conduct, how you really carry yourself on in this world. So that, hearing phrases like that coming out of his mouth, like it really resonated within me, even coming from a martial art background, it's like, dang, like that's something not to take for granted right there.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to training and trying to pretty much be the best person you can possibly be. Yeah, that stuck out to me too. And I like the one with Patrick Kinsong because that guy is like full of life, man. Like, and then I found out he's a former karate champion too, and he's like the by far the most consistent YouTuber out of all the guys you interview too, because he posts stuff every day. Like every day he's got something cooked.
Yeah,
Right?
he's
All
the
right.
same way on this girl. What's going on, Ash the man? How's it
Hey,
going?
oh, it's going all right. I've been having a busy day so far. So I literally like got in the house probably like 20 minutes ago, and I like, oh, Sigma is live. I get to actually catch it. Then I seen Jason. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I haven't too long got done with the book review. It was a book that I read not too long before I took my first trip to Japan. So I just did a review on that, and then decided to do like an after stream if people still had questions and whatnot. And JJ came on through, so we're definitely hitting on a lot of topics and everything.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But how's the night going for y'all so far? Besides the book.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
sidetracked for a minute. I was listening very keenly about that man's unfortunate plight in Japan, and then I got pulled to the side, and then of course I'm still got clothes to dry. But it was definitely eye opening for sure. Yeah, we're trying to learn lessons here on what not to do when you travel overseas, not to do the whole Pookie thuggo thing. When you go there, you got to pretty much leave all that behind in the States, and you're going there to be enlightened mainly. You're not trying to do the same stuff you did back home. You want to learn things, really. You want to be a different person when you get back, a more mature, reserved person at that. So that's
That's
kind of what the book is trying to teach you. Like, don't do what that guy did. Don't
right.
be a don't be a low hanging fruit guy.
That's true. That's true. Some people just don't know how to act, in the presence of a different environment,
Right, right. Yep. That's
So
basically the summary of the book. But is it on Amazon, Sigma?
Yeah, the sorry, I was eating something right now. The hard copy is definitely on Amazon. I gotta get the link again, but in the previous stream, the link to Amazon has the book. Now it's a hard copy. I've yet to find the Kindle version, and the reason being is because the book is self-published, so he hasn't released like a ebook version yet or a Kindle version, far as I know. But
Oh,
if
okay.
anybody's able to find like the ebook version, I would say go with it because most likely it's going to have the same thing as the hard copy. But at the moment, Amazon has only the hard copy version.
okay.
Got it. Got it.
I wouldn't mind checking that book out then. Interesting.
Yeah. I like I mentioned in the stream, I give the book a 7 out of 10 because it's definitely a very detailed memoir of the things that he went through and whatnot, and so it really goes into town on it. So, and I got another guest came through. What's going on, Trey?
Hey, what's going on, man? Man, great review. I just finished blazing through it on 2x speed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely, man, like brought me back to my 6 months over there, and I told you in uh Kuriakiji about all the teachers that I ran into, and like, man, that was their life, basically.
Yeah, yeah. It was in his case. It was unfortunate because he he went too far to the dark side, and it caught up with him. But I mean, as far as I know, that's something where yeah, Japan could be a paradise, but if you go too crazy, it could become your worst nightmare.
Yeah, and what you said about Japanese women sticking in it to the end, like these dudes, man, I ran into, like, man, they hated their wives, but or no, I'm like, why don't you get divorced? I can't. She gives me an allowance. I won't have my car, and but all these things. Well, just go back to the U.S. And it's the look of, I don't know what to do if I go back to the U.S.
Oh man.
Yeah. Interesting times, interesting times. But Ashton, man, you were showing the link, both of those links to the Rise of the Ronin and the Wolong, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So I asked JJ, he gave his opinions and everything. What's your opinion on those two particular games?
Oh man, it's a can't wait title about them. Like I remember, I'm gonna give you a little bit of something. Me and JJ actually met when we both was streaming Dynasty Warriors. It was so funny. Like
Hmm.
like JJ came to my stream and he was like, he was like, "Oh man, I didn't know like nobody else really like streamed the game or anything like that." And we literally, I think that's one of the longest times I ever streamed because like we were just sitting there talking about Dynasty Warriors, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and how far that it went and how much was into the story. So when he told me he streamed, joined his, and it's been like that. So to see that they are doing games that really like tackle a lot on that Asian culture is like real good. So I was always been into it.
Yeah, like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, like that's a story that's pretty cherished in Japan. So I think it's not surprising to see them kind of take it to the video game world and pretty much expand upon it, like making it like a fan fiction a series in its own right. Like it's incredible
Right.
what they've done. Koei Tecmo has, yeah.
And then they turned around and did Neo, which Neo's story focusing around like the what's his face?
Sengoku era.
Sengoku era and
Mm.
Nobu and focus around like Nobunaga and then they did the right
Hideyoshi.
yeah, Inyoshi, Yasuke, then they did a Yasuke little short anime on Netflix. It
Now that one was different. That wasn't Koei Tecmo, but that was like that was actually made by an American. Whereas the Yasuke and Neo was straight Japanese, and he didn't have any of the Daggle characteristics that we unfortunately saw in the anime. I'll just throw that out.
right, but it was still interesting though, because like for the people that don't know Yasuke, it gave him a little bit to go off of, and a lot of people that I know personally start looking into him like, man, I didn't know there was a black samurai. He basically some of the hardships he went through, and it's like, yeah, that man, that man to start literally from the bottom and come up. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. Most people, when they think of samurai, I mean, obviously they think of a Japanese descent, but many don't know that, yeah, there was actually quite a few foreign born samurai that, rose up in the rank. And, Yasuke is kind of one that I think he was the very first foreign samurai. So, hey,
Yeah, he was one of the first documented, and then it was William Adams, who's the protagonist of the Neo game. He came from
mm,
England, so yeah, he was like the second one, and of course, he actually had like a career. He was a merchant, so he had the more detailed, notable facts about his life. So it's no surprise he got the lead in that game in a way. So that way Yasuke kind of got overshadowed up until now. People just not find about his background and everything. But there was actually more than one black quote unquote slave samurais in Japan. He just had to be the most famous because Nobunaga took him under his wing.
right.
Right.
And Nobunaga, for those who don't know, Nobunaga is considered one of the three unifiers of Japan. And so when you talk about him, he's kind of one where I believe he was actually the first to unify all of the islands of Japan into one nation.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an eye opener for me.
But
And
but again, that's where I like the gameplay that both of you do, especially on your respective channels and all, because this is something we'll be bringing up on the State of Male Entertainment that's coming up this Sunday, where we really get into depths about character development, storylines, and why it seems like stories from other countries seem to do much better or have a fan base and all compared to the characters and stories that were built here.
mm, interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't make that last episode, but I will definitely try to make episode two. And if we manage to turn around to topics such as video games, then yeah, we can definitely chime in on that because even in video games now, that it like some of the SJW or wokeism is starting to creep in the gaming world too. I kind of noticed that when I played Shenmue 3, like they just randomly put in people from the same sex in the game, like kind of inserting them in there,
Mm.
and they're throwing in these lines, and it's so off kilter. It's like, huh? Why would you say that to him? Stuff like that, and then it kind of like throw in some insults that are kind of like really weird and out there too. So it's little stuff like that I kind of picked up on, and it was made by a different developer too. It wasn't made by Sega. It was made by a different company, and I think that company is an American company, so that might be the reason why. So yeah, these American companies making these games like after Japanese companies, these older Japanese companies now, it's like they're trying to do the same thing like they're doing in their American games, and we got to catch up on that. We got to call it out. We have
Right.
to.
Right. And that's, you could tell the kind of difference when you got an American company developing than the actual foreign company doing it. Like I'm not even entirely sure like if it was like a foreign company that did Ghost of Tsushima, because you remember that game, it was fantastic. It was awesome. And I think we kind of left that out too. Like that's one of those games that kind of
Sucker
like
Punch, yeah, Sucker Punch actually did it right with Ghost of Tsushima. They didn't put none of that stuff in there, and it turned out to be a classic, an all-time classic, I'd even say.
right.
So
'Cause-
we still got some gems out there. So hopefully
Right.
when
Yeah,
they do Ghost of Tsushima 2, like they just keep to the same formula. That's all I gotta say with Sucker Punch. Please do the same things y'all been doing and try to make it even better than the last one.
but to me, the thing that I find most about it, like even with the trailer, um, Ash, that you shared in the chat earlier, like what hooked me the most with Ghost of Tsushima was the storyline. Like here it
Yeah.
is, you have a samurai. Well, first off, Tsushima Island, from a historical perspective, is considered the birthplace of the samurai warrior.
Right.
So, and interesting you mentioned JJ about that interview with Takai Sensei. He mentioned that Tsushima is the birthplace of the samurai, and that's where he goes to actually return to the roots of being a samurai and the training and everything. And so when you play in the game and watch the storyline, it really hooks you to where here's a guy where his home was invaded by the Mongol nation, the Mongol Empire, and he literally takes on an entire army by himself and defeats them. That's a great storyline. Like it wasn't
Incredible.
no yeah, it wasn't no craziness of we're gonna have a female to take on this entire warrior clan and she gonna go through this yada yada or some SJW nonsense. No, it's a factual storyline that is still interesting to catch on.
Right. I think what got me with it, and this is like, because I mean, the gameplay was always good from the get go, but the story started catching me is when the main character, he kind of like went out of that Ronin samurai traditions, and
Mm,
you could tell by him and his uncle relationship, because by the end, it's like you could tell that his uncle was kind of conflicted on like trying to praise him, but also keeping up that samurai lifestyle. Like, okay, he did what he had to do, but it's still disgraceful, certain.
right.
So I think that really hooked me onto the story. It was like, this is awesome. Like, I don't think no other game company could replicate what I experienced in Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah, like his relationship with his uncle, Lord Shimmer, was intense, man. Like it was really intense, and then it kind of exposed Shimura's like lack of empathy towards his common people, just to kind of sacrifice him like that in order to get some kind of advantage, military advantage against the Mongols. And Jim was like, "Man, this is senseless sacrifice here. We can't beat the Mongols this way, especially when they know our tactics. They already know what we're capable of. They even told us to our face. We got to change up our style. We have to beat these guys at their own game, or even at a game that they're not familiar with." So that was Jin's whole approach of basically being more stealth-like. And in a way, since we say Tsushima's the birthplace of the samurai, I'm thinking now it's like the birthplace of the shinobi too, because he's doing some shinobi type stuff against these dudes, you know?
Yeah, throwing poison,
Yeah.
sneaking up on them, like hit, like like slice them from the back. It was like that's disgraceful, and you, oh my god, it was good. It was like you got a chance to learn, like look into like an old heritage or somewhere, but seeing the guy who kind of like branched out and did things that wasn't like smiled upon in that environment.
Right. And you
Yeah,
know what, as you just,
he's walking on tight ropes.
well, it's
It's
something as you
crazy.
brought up, and I know Trey can relate to this more because he lives out in Texas. So the last interview that I recently did with Emmy Chan, she brought it to my attention because you know how here in America and the Western world, you know, we're more fascinated in talks of ninjas and samurai because obviously here in America we don't have any history of that, but Japan they do. Well, it's funny because in Japan they put cowboys on the same level as a samurai, but they don't know if cowboys ever existed in America. Now I was like, what? I, I can't tell you how many I know it, and I know for a fact Trey he knows plenty of them down in Texas.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so, wow, that's amazing, considering that, so much, like, what can I say? Like, their version of like Kung Fu was like our early, like, turn of the century, 19th to 20th, were stories of cowboys, and bank robbers
Right.
in the Wild West. That was our lore back then.
Right.
Yeah, we get shoot down south. There's plenty of cowboys. We still got rodeos, so she can always fly to America and take her to a local rodeo. She'll be fascinated by all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Houston, San Antonio, whichever rodeo. I mean, I get my gear on.
Yeah, take her
Yeah.
to
Right.
a bull riding contest where the guys have to ride on the bulls, and she's like, "That's so dangerous! Oh my goodness!"
They even still have like cowboy competitions and stuff like that.
Right. So
So
it was just fascinating that on their end, yeah, they got people that still train in like samurai training and like the ninja training, but they think that cowboys is like something mythical, like something that you can only hear about in books and what you see on TV. Whereas over here, it's like, especially like you said, the South and the Southwest and everything, it's like cowboys is an everyday thing. You can see cowboys just counting the number on your finger.
right.
Go to any farm.
Right.
That is very true. And it's kind of crazy because when you look at when you contrast and compare like what we known for like cowboys and how they take on their samurais and and shinobis and stuff, for us, at least for me, I can say this. When they used to talk about ninjas, I'm like, people was really doing this, like jumping from building to building, throwing these little knives at people's necks and stuff like that. But then it's like you think about our versions of a ninja, which is like a spy or whatever. It's like
Mm.
similar, in some ways, but we just don't have that level of foundation the way that they have it. So
Yeah, yeah, and that's like 95% cap. That's what I did in the army for 8 years. I was human intelligence.
right.
Yeah, what they portrayed on TV is not real life. 95% of it is just sitting behind a computer writing reports.
Right.
There you go.
Damn.
Yeah. It's different. Like I remember watching this movie, The Last Samurai, that I believe it starred like Tom Cruise in it. And
Hmm.
I think he started off on the other side, shooting a gun and everything, but he ended up training as a samurai, ended up being the last one. I was like, that was kind of interesting. Even though the samurai lost and they didn't lose like a landslide or anything, they just didn't use guns. So I
Yeah,
like
I like that movie. It was like a kind of a bringing Japan into like a modern culture, like a modern warfare culture.
Right, right. It really was because I think that's probably one of those movies that really like stuck out. Like, I need to read more on these like samurais and ronins. I need to do this.
No, no, you spot on because the Last Samurai is actually, and JJ was just talking about it earlier. So that video game that you showed, Ash, the Rise of the Ronin, um, when Commodore Perry came to Tokyo Bay, that's right around 1863, 1864. A decade later, you could say a decade and a half later, the Boshin War started. And the Boshin War was it's kind of like the Civil War of Japan, where the imperialists were ones that were want to be more modernized, want to have a more modern military and everything. And they were up against the traditionalists who were the samurai. They wanted to keep the feudal system. They wanted to, the samurai still have a place in everything. So the movie is actually based on real life events that happened during the Boshin War.
Mm, keep on opening my eyes to more stuff. I'm I'll tell you, that's probably like one of the reasons in actually like you and like JJ, because JJ like when he was like, yo, you should check out Sigma Joe's channel. And I remember because it's the same video that he said that he liked the most, the one he invited me to. And I was like, this guy knows his stuff. I'm like, anything that I need to know about like the culture and everything, I'm like, Sigma Joe's the channel I point to.
And man, I appreciate it. Shinobi, bro, I would probably say he he definitely knows more than I do, as far as deep into the culture and all, because he's married and he kind of knows a little bit more of the ins and outs. But I'm kind of one where I guess you could say I was. It just so happened to fall into my lap when I was a kid because I had a grand uncle, and I'll tell anybody this when they ask me, how did you get to like Japan? Like, what got you started? And I will tell them every single time. I had a grand uncle. He's now passed away, but when I was a kid, he would tell me about his time in Japan and how the only reason he went to Japan was because he served in World War II. He fought in the Pacific War. And right after Japan surrendered and everything, he had to station in Tokyo for some months before he was, required to go back to the States. And he would just tell me how, despite you're in this city that was flattened out by all these bombs and whatnot, homeless people everywhere. Very few people, had food and whatnot, but they treated him no different than they treated their own. And he
Mm,
was just amazed by the hospitality of the people there and whatnot that he was almost tempted to stay in Japan when he was required to go back. And so growing up, he would just tell me these stories of, what he saw there and who he interacted with and what it was like. And so that gave me the foundation of being interested in Japan. Then I go to university, and now, I join a culture club where it's actual Japanese people. And they're telling me about, their country and hometowns and whatnot, showing me different type of foods that they eat, and I'm trying these out and really get into it. And it all just culminated years of researching, years of interacting with people, finally go to Japan itself. And as they say, the rest is history.
oh man.
Wish I had
Uh,
linked up with you, man, before I went over there. And I hope, man, did you get a chance to read Daryl Gatrell's book?
I am still reading it, and good sir, that book is next up to do a review. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to do a review on that.
I got to give you his email address, man. See if I can dig up his I'll dig up his email address, see if I can get him so you can do an interview with him. because man, he's a cool brother, man. He's doing he's doing business back in Savannah now. He brought his wife back, and his daughter, she's half half Japanese, half American. She's like
Hmm.
around 10 years old, and man, he's got her in all these gifted programs. I keep up with him every now and then on Facebook. He's a good brother, man.
Yeah, yeah. Based so far, okay, I'll definitely let the cat slip out the bag. So far, his book, I am hooked on it because he's the first one I've read where he literally started his own business in Japan and it was successful. It was not like something he started a business and not many people were interested and next year he closed it down and goes back home. No, he started a business, it was successful. He just made a few key mistakes that, hey, it is what it is and whatnot. But it's just like, man, I would love to talk to him to kind of get more details of like what happened and like what would he do now differently than what he did back then. So yeah, so
Yeah.
far that book of his is amazing.
And what was cool about going to Japan was he put me in touch with people that he's like, look, some of these folks aren't gonna like me, so you're gonna hear a different, like, antagonist view of the book. And I got over there, and I started meeting people, and man, they were good friends of his. And I met this one of his former teachers, this Redbone chick. She was a singer, married to like a former Japanese pook, bro, and like man, it was like honestly, it was like a manosphere. Like watching who was it? Angry Man versus Bomb Cherry the other day. That was her description of him. Like
Oh,
and he warned me too. If you meet this light skinned girl, former singer, she's gonna give you an earful about me. But wow, bro. The
Man, I
stories,
got to get
man.
to that. I got to get to that part of the story. Like, man. Well, hey, gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead and close down because it's definitely a work week. But hey, thanks for coming up because y'all made it very interesting and whatnot. And thanks for everybody that's in the chat that came through. Be sure to come by Sunday for States of Male Entertainment because we're definitely going to get into more details. But Trey, any last words before I close?
No, man, salute. Great review, man. I look forward to the next. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks again.
Oh yeah, and one last thing, my avatar Mike here from Attack on Titan. I'm hooked, man. You know that
You know
that's down
what?
the rabbit hole. That's
Eh,
down the rabbit hole.
but
I
Trey, let me tell you this: hook up with Ash the Man and JJ.
Got you.
Uh, Years ago, they used to do this series called Eternal Vintage, where they talk about the latest in gaming, anime, and whatnot. Link up with them because they're going to start those things back up, and they definitely have covered a lot of topics on Attack on Titan. So you're
Okay.
definitely in good company.
Yeah. I ran into that one. My daughter caught wind of, me and the rabbit hole stuff. She's like, oh, the Titans. Have you ever watched that movie? That stuff you talk about on your TikTok and your YouTube? It sounds like Attack on Titan. I was like, what? So I started watching it. I was like, oh my God, did they really put it in a TV show?
oh, oh man, you're gonna love it. Like I'm waiting on the anime to come out so I can actually talk about the ending because I've seen it in the manga, but you guys are gonna love it.
All right, bet. All right, fellas. I'm going to catch a couple episodes and I'm going to sleep. Y'all take it easy.
All
Yeah,
right.
take it easy, Trey.
alrighty.
How about you, Ash? Any final thoughts?
Oh man, keep on doing what you're doing. I'm gonna put it in my calendar so I can make sure not to skip episode 1 and get and see that episode 2. I'm interested.
Oh yeah, man, you're gonna love it because it was something. JJ was one of the ones that helped to mention it and everything. Just kind of have a series where we just talk about, you know, character development, character design, storylines, what makes great stories in comics, video games, movies, and all. First episode was a hit. Like people just love like the background talk what we was doing because I was playing this jazz music in the background, but dudes were really getting in depth. So yeah, you definitely going to enjoy it if you come around.
Oh, most definitely. You already know. Well, all right. Well, nice for having me, Sigma. JJ, you already know. So
Oh yeah, of course.
you already know. So I'll see y'all later.
Hey, take it easy, good sir. Glad to see you again.
No problem.
All right, see you.
JJ, my good friend, your final thoughts.
Oh man, first off, thanks for the review of the book, and thanks for notifying me as well, so I could get prepared to listen in. I wish I could have stayed the entire time without getting sidetracked, but it's definitely a great lesson for those that have a desire to travel to Japan. Just go there and be enlightened and enjoy the new atmosphere around you. And that's not just Japan, that's any country that you visit. Just always take something for what the culture brings to you. And with that said, great time here talking about Japan and gaming.
Likewise, man. Like I said, you, Ash, and Trey, y'all always invited over here because I love these conversations. But yeah, and if anything, the content that me and Shinobi Bro try to do here is really for y'all because y'all gave the ideas and we try to make them happen. So definitely appreciate the support.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in on this after stream. Until next time, catch you later.
All right, peace.